Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. We have some of the changes near to the Bakhmut direction. Today Russia captured one more village. Let's go for it. So it was yesterday and it is today like that. Let's zoom in what kind of the village is there. Andriivka, my friends, it's the big loss for this area, not for this war. Why do I think it's important for the Russian army to get this village under control? Because they were able to cross the natural obstacle, the river here and the lakes. Andriivka is very small, however we also have the information that they were fighting here on the south for two of those villages, and here we have the road that is leading to the bigger one. So as you can see here, Russia is trying to get the control over the Bakhmut city unsuccessfully. That is why they are trying to bypass the city from the south to get access to the highway. And for Ukrainian forces, we don't have the defense over here, so this is the gap for us. We have the defense all across the Bakhmut and inside the city itself, but here nothing. Other than that, there are no any changes on the front lines, my friends. Ukrainian army is still waiting to start the massive counterattack, waiting for the better weather. We got the information from our military that Russia used all of their drones that were delivered to Russia by Iranian side, Shahid 136, and there were no any reports of those drones flying in Ukrainian airspace for a very long time. Once I saw them myself, they are very noisy, and also I saw our air defense in action. My friends, it was quite scary. Ursula von der Leyen today said about 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers who lost their lives in this war. My friends, I don't think that it's real. The number I think is lower, but anyways, our military command says that they cannot talk about the real number. That information is classified. We have the statistics for the Russian army that we publish daily. However, I may say that we lost many of the soldiers. Some of our officials say about 10,000 soldiers. I don't think so. I think we lost many more. Speaking about the civilian losses, they are far greater than 100,000 people. In Mariupol only there are dozens of thousands of people who lost their lives. There was an explosion in the Ukrainian embassy in Madrid city, Spain. One of the employees of the embassy opened the envelope or the package and it exploded. The employee was delivered to the local hospital. Luckily, he survived. President Zelenskyi in his interview to New York Times said that he hopes that the war is over in a few months. I also think like that because no one really needs this war any longer. Russia understood that they are unable to take control over all of the Ukraine. That is why they try to keep the land they've taken, but unsuccessfully. So little by little they will withdraw their forces from the most parts of Ukraine, and after that it could be the peace deal, leaving Crimea under the Russian control for some time. So it's just my guess. But obviously, Ukrainian society would never accept Russian rule in Crimea or any kind of the part of Ukrainian territory. Girkin, the guy who is responsible and was found guilty for drowning the MH17 Malaysian Airlines in Donbass back in 2014. So he went to the front line fighting for Russia. This is not the Confederate flag, this is the Novorossiya flag, the self-proclaimed republic that they want to create, including LPR, DPR and many other parts of Ukraine. So this guy is really on the front lines and he's not anymore in his social media. And I think that our army should find this guy and take him alive. It's now the principal question since he was found guilty, and he should be prosecuted accordingly, and he should have his term, life term actually, in a prison. Russia is moving away their main hospital in the region from Pologi town to Mariupol, so it will extend the way for the wounded soldiers to be delivered for their hospitals. It's not good for the army. Why they do so? Because they're afraid that we may use the HIMARS rocket artillery systems against their hospitals, but I think hospitals are illegal targets in any kind of the war, so any kind of the site should not target hospitals. The most popular drone for the Russian army is this Orlan. It's the airplane type, and they made more than 1,000 units of those, but mainly they were shut down in Ukrainian war, and it's a very rare thing now to find those in Russian army. They even start to use their emergency drones that they use for militia, for firefighting back in Russia. Now they use them on the front lines. It's very simple made drone and kind of effective. White House asked $1.1 billion from Congress to send help to Moldova and Ukraine. Because Moldova's energy is supplied from Ukraine, they have the line there. They also struggle with the blackouts. And that is why it's crucial to support both of the countries. And I already said to you that in Moldova, the prices for electricity, for heating, for everything rose more than 7 times per year, and they elected pro-Western president hoping that they will start to live better, but actually they start to live worse. And that is why now they want to return the ex-pro-Russian president. We don't need that stuff. That is why maybe it's better to help Moldova as well, to have their friend out there near to Ukraine. There are some talks between the Ukraine and Turkish side to provide Ukraine with that stuff. Those ships are basically tankers but with power plants installed. So they burn the oil to produce electricity, and if you park the thing near to Odessa, you may supply lots of the villages, towns, and I think Odessa city itself. A single ship may produce up to 300 megawatts of the energy. That is enough to supply 1 million households. And now we have just those generators. Volunteers are buying them in European Union, neighboring countries, and deliver them to Ukraine. Those are very expensive nowadays. Before the Russian attacks, there were even some of the discounts on that stuff, but now, no. One of the United States officials, Joseph Habush, who is responsible for Iranian question, said that United States may even use military option to stop Iran from acquiring the nuclear weapons. And I think that in that case, probably Israel and Saudi Arabia may also join that war. The United States and Raytheon, the company that is producing the NASAMS air defense systems, agreed to spend $1.2 billion to help Ukraine with those units. I don't know how many of those would be produced and delivered to Ukraine, but I guess many more than we have right now. I know this guy, Bear Grylls, is very popular on Discovery Channel, fantastic series, How to Survive in Different Conditions, and he is now in Ukraine. Today he was spotted on one of the petrol stations, and probably he's going to film how to survive in Ukraine without electricity. Alright, about the Patriot air defense systems, there were some of the rumors that negotiations are ongoing to provide those to Ukrainian side. But recently, United States announced that they will not provide Ukraine with those systems, but maybe other country may do so. At least we have the NASAMS systems contract already been signed, but it takes time to produce those systems. For us, it's better obviously to have Patriot systems because they may cover longer range and they're more effective for some sort of the rockets. World is still in COVID crisis and they all wear masks. Last week I traveled through 8 of the European countries and I found just 2 people who were wearing masks. And those were just charity workers who got the deal with immigrants. And that is how China deals with restriction. Basically, they weld the door. So that is why they basically have rights. On the eastern part of the China, there was the case, then building got fire and all the exits were welded by the Chinese authorities. That is why all the people inside just lost their lives, burned alive. After that case, riots intensify, and that is what you will have in your country if you would agree all the time with your government. That is why democracy will win. And personally, I think that CCP, China Communist Party, is in deep crisis. They have economic crisis, they have the trust crisis nowadays. People do not like the zero COVID policy anymore, and it's one more step to get rid of the communism around the world. And my friends, let's go back to our military map. We have the latest update about what is happening mostly near to the Bakhmut city. Well, here, as you can see, Russia advanced. So it was yesterday and it is today, the 1st of December, the first day of the winter time. Winter 2022 is going to be very hard for Ukraine as well as for Russia, obviously. And here they advanced towards that park. So it's not the forest, it's the local city park. The fighting is already ongoing in the city itself, but still they are struggling to get it under control. And also it's divided with that river over here. That is why probably they're gonna try to reach Bakhmutska village going from this side, and also they advance, as I say to you, from the south. So here we have the yesterday and it is today, just some frontline correction, but Andriivka is still under their control. Well, my friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation in Ukraine. Now, if you want to support this channel, just press the like button. If you want to support me financially, there are so many ways for you how to do it. All the links are in the video description below. You may support me on Patreon, PayPal, or Donatello, whichever is more convenient for you. Thank you so much for your help. With your help, I may sustain my family even outside Ukraine. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are. Have a great time.